You're listening to the Wordslinger Podcast, episode 40, starting an RV life with me, only me.
If you would like to support this program, or any of Kevin Tumlinson's work, then we invite you to become a reader. Find fiction you will love at kevintumlinson.com/books.
It's the Wordslinger Podcast, where story matters. Build your brand, write your book, redefine who you are. It's all about the story here. What's yours? Now, here's the guy who invented pants optional, Kevin Tumlinson, the Wordslinger.
Wordslinger.
Hey everybody, this is Kevin Tumlinson, the Wordslinger. It's funny how that happens. That guy says, here's Kevin, and then I'm suddenly just here. Actually, that guy he kind of just hangs out and does the intro, and it's kind of like rubbing a magic lamp. I just appear every week. So, moving on. So, this week's going to be a little different. For one thing, I have guests in the queue. I mean, I've got guests waiting to go live, and I have to apologize to any of you who are listening because this week I'm sort of taking a different path, so to speak, because I wanted to talk about some things that are going on in Wordslinger land, and one of the biggest is that we are. And I've talked about this a little bit before in other episodes. If you follow my blog, you've probably seen posts about this. But for the most part, what Kara and I are doing is we're downsizing our life. We're getting rid of a lot of our stuff. We're going to put the remainder of that stuff in storage once we kind of whittle it down again, I think, because we still had a big pile after a huge garage sale last weekend. But the goal here is get ourselves down to a much smaller footprint that could fit into an RV and then travel for the next year to 2 years and maybe more. Who knows? I don't know how long we'll do this, but we're working on that because it's kind of been a dream of both of us to travel more. And, you know, when I travel, that's kind of my muse. Like, whenever we have traveled to someplace new, it's been very inspiring to me. There's usually a book that comes out of it. Not that books don't come out of just my everyday experience, but you know, I'm kind of tapping the well dry here with sort of inspiration from my local environment. That's not entirely true, by the way, because it seems like every day I meet new people who are really interesting, who have interesting stories. There's a lot of material from like my childhood that I am now bringing into my fiction through like Sawyer Jackson and books like that. But books like Evergreen, which just released on the 19th of June, 2015, depending on when you're listening to this. That book, though I more or less started it before our trip, that book largely came out of the trip that we took in November of 2014 for Thanksgiving. We spent a little over a week in New York City in Manhattan. And, you know, Manhattan's one of those, I mean, people know Manhattan, no matter where you are in the world, you know Manhattan pretty well, I think, because of television and movies. The old sort of adage, it's cliche at this point, but that Manhattan is more or less a character in the film. New York is a character. And I think it's true. And once I was there, because of all those experiences, I found it pretty inspiring. So the book I was already working on eventually did become about that city, or at least it was very much flavored by that city. Now, the book isn't about New York. It just takes place there, largely. And just to give you a breakdown now, the premise of the story is there's a character codenamed Evergreen in the story, and you find out why. Not too early in, but you do find out why. But he has the ability to absorb everything you know through skin-to-skin contact, and he retains all that for 30 minutes. And so he uses this as a sort of, there's a kind of espionage component to the story, a little bit of a almost superhero component to the story just because of the nature of his ability. But this guy, and his name is Jalen. Um, he's just a regular, everyday guy, and he just happens to have this ability. And through the course of figuring out how to survive and not be, detained by the government or something, and not be labeled a freak or be cut open to be studied. He's had to develop certain traits and characteristics. Like he's very paranoid about his environment. He's very paranoid about where he is, that sort of thing. So, excuse me, I'm going to have to clear my throat a lot. And since this is more or less just me talking, I don't get to dim the microphone like I normally do during interviews. I'm so sorry. So sorry. I will try not to do that anymore. But so that's the premise of Evergreen, and it went on sale on the 19th. It's currently at a reduced price of $2.99 because it's currently it's currently exclusive to Amazon Kindle. So if you're not a Kindle reader, take heart. It's okay. It's going to be available on all platforms soon. Like many self-pub authors, I am just sort of leveraging Kindle right now. Their exclusivity stuff can be kind of beneficial. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. Recent changes, recent updates to their policies are making me reconsider any. Not that I thought there was all that much value in being exclusive to Kindle in the first place. That kind of goes up and down in waves, but recent changes have made it a lot less desirable. Although, well, let me just open that box. So Amazon announced recently that they're changing the structure of how they pay authors who are enrolled in Kindle Unlimited and Kindle Select. And it's going to go to a sort of page count kind of thing, which is meant to get rid of the guys who are just doing Kindle Gold Rush stuff. Like, I publish a book that's a page long, and just by opening it, you've already hit 10%, and therefore I get paid. And Amazon wants to cut down on that kind of stuff. Now, the problem for me is getting paid based on the number of pages the reader actually reads. It sounds kind of reasonable in some respects, but it sounds very unreasonable in others because what if the let's say, for example, someone we interviewed on the show, Michael Uran, he does some books that are very much like choose your own adventure. And so what if in the course of playing the game of the book, I now read a lot less of the book? I mean, how does Amazon determine whether or not Michael gets paid for the other pages? Does it have to go through each page individually, or in sequential order, or can someone skip around and it counts as they've read the entire book? It's unbalanced, and for people who have books that are based on graphic arts or something, comic style books or children's books, fiction that's marketed to children, which can tend to be a lot shorter with a lot less content on the pages. There seems to be kind of an imbalance. I mean, and I think in an effort to make it more fair, they've actually thrown the balance off. That's my opinion, not shared by a lot of people. Even my partner, Nick Thacker, kind of disagrees with me on some of these points. But, there you are. That's a word slinger's opinion. I think that Amazon's going to do what Amazon's going to do, and Kevin's going to do what Kevin's going to do. Kevin's going to take his books and not be exclusive, probably. So, anyway, that's on Evergreen's front and on the KDP front. Those are updates. But what we're really going to talk about this episode, and the reason I don't have a guest, I could have gotten a guest for this. I've talked to a few folks. No one's turned me down, but I didn't plan this episode, I'll be honest. I was going to come in and do just a standard interview episode, but this is stuff that's on my mind because today Kara and I have a realtor coming over. The house is a wreck. It's been a wreck for a while. But I just kind of wanted to start something that talks about this new adventure we're moving into, because it is something it's going to be really big for us. It's going to be life-changing. We haven't figured everything out yet. I mean, people ask us a lot of questions sometimes we don't have answers to. One moment. See, I turned down the microphone so you wouldn't hear me clear my throat. But then I called attention to it by coming back in and telling you that I cleared my throat. So, Kara and I are, recently what we've done is we started pulling everything out from all the corners of our home, all the cubby holes, all the closets, going through all that, and we had a huge garage sale, and we probably sold about 3/4 of the stuff that was in it, and the remainder still fills my garage. So you get the picture here. This is a lot of stuff. We are people who have always held on to things. I'm a very nostalgic person, so I and also was raised in I was raised by my grandparents for the most part. Most of my life lived with them, and they grew up in the Depression era. My grandfather in particular was not. I wouldn't call either of them a hoarder. My grandfather kept everything, though. I mean, he and tried to repurpose it. His tool shed was a wonderland. I could go into that thing and we were constantly tinkering with stuff and building stuff. If you ever needed a part, you just kind of, dig through the junk pile. And there were hundreds of pickle jars and things with their, we did that trick where you screw the lid of the jar to a 2x4 and you hang the 2x4 and you have a whole row of jars and you fill the jars with, nuts and bolts and nails and screws. And now ideally you want to sift through that stuff and separate it and organize it so that things are easy to find. But that was not the James Mansell way. And James Mansell, my grandfather, his way was, put it all in there and he pretty much had, if you've read my Sawyer Jackson books, there's a character named Book. And that character is he's able to locate anything in his home, in his library. He just knows where it is. If you ask him for something, he goes and finds it. And that's the way my grandfather was with that shed. So it's the way I am with a lot of stuff too, I admit. So I'll pick that trait up from my grandfather. So anyway, we've always held on to things, always held on to stuff. And so now it's a little painful to get rid of this. And I have these little pangs of regret when I think about some of the stuff that went out in that garage sale. Especially since the money doesn't stretch very far. Like, money's a poor compensation for getting rid of, things that you have memory attached to. But the other benefit to that is a sort of lifting of the weight. That stuff's gone now. I can just let go of it. I used to kind of wave that off and roll my eyes when I'd hear people say things like that, but it actually is true. I feel a lot lighter, and I think I'll feel lighter still once we finish going through what we've got here and getting rid of more stuff. I think that we're on our way. So that said, now the plan from here on out is we want to continue culling down what we own, donate a lot of stuff, sell some stuff. We've got some things going out the door this weekend. But we also are we're going to get storage for what's remaining, because there are some things like our bedroom furniture and some stuff owned by that was once owned by Kara's grandmother. We're not going to get rid of that. Some memories are a little too. They have their prongs are too deep. But also, we're going to eventually buy a home again. And buy a house again, and probably have one built to our specifications so that we can actually use this stuff again. And we'll need the furniture, and who wants to go buy all this stuff all over again when we got perfectly good, perfectly nice stuff that we love anyway. So, but the goal here is to get into an RV. And when I say an RV, what I really am talking about, we're going to get a fifth wheel trailer, and we're getting a residential style trailer. And the way this is going to work, I'll have to trade my truck in and get a bigger truck, which a lot of people find unbelievable, but because my truck is huge as it is, but it doesn't have the muscle to pull this fifth wheel. But the goal here is we get set up with that. We get some revenue coming in from various sources, some of which are under my control completely, like my books, any money I make off the podcasts, that sort of thing. Um, Whatever I can do, I do some copywriting, but we contribute to that bottom line. I think we're going to be pretty much okay with that. Now we're looking for things that Kara can do that would contribute, and we have some ideas. But anyway, the financial aspects of that aren't as dicey as they may seem because our overhead goes down quite a bit in getting the trailer. We still have monthly expenses we'll have to take care of, like payments on the trailer, for example, and payments on the vehicle and that sort of thing. But we think we can manage that. But the goal is to take this camper, this trailer, and go wherever we're interested in going and setting up camp for a week or 2 weeks or a month or however long we feel like being there, and really live in these environments and explore what they have to offer. Spend time checking out local color, checking out local life in these areas. Not just be tourists, but be a part of the community that we are living in. It's going to be a little bit tougher to do, but I think it can be done. Now, on the financial side, by the way, we've kind of stumbled into something called work camping, which has some potential. And I like it because we can actually, there are times when we can work directly for like the campgrounds we're going to be in, for example. And not only, but there are advantages there, like, having your space comped and having your power and internet and all that stuff given to you for free. But then sometimes you can get into these things and you get, actual paychecks and benefits and other stuff. And then when the job's done, you move on, or when you're done, you move on. And no harm, no foul. Nobody considers it an inconvenience. It's kind of the way work should be, I think. If you're going to work for anyone else, it should be on those kind of terms. You work until you no longer need to be there, and you move on without taking some sort of penalty for it, which is, to me, the way things seem to be in the world, in the corporate world especially. If I leave a corporate job, I'm somehow branded as being unreliable or something. It's very strange. The corporate world is very strange, and what's even stranger to me is how people accept that as just perfectly normal. So, okay, so we're gonna do this now. The goal, we keep joking that the goal is to move around and check out the world until we find where we want to live, and then build a house there. And to me, that makes perfect sense. I think that's exactly the right way for us to be, because Karen and I, we don't have kids. We can't have kids. Now we can adopt, but we haven't made that a priority. So sometimes that happens. I think we both love kids, and I think we're both good with kids, but we have not made that a priority in our lives. We've made other things the priority, and I think that there's nothing wrong with that. And this traveling is something that we've always wanted to make a priority. It's something that we look forward to, and we're we're really excited about. And if we don't have kids, then we might as well spend our time exploring. That's kind of our philosophy. So anyway, I've kind of rambled on about this, but it's because it's so exciting and there's so many things happening, and we're learning as we go. And I'm going to document all this. Now, some of this will bleed into the podcast. I may start a separate podcast, thinking about a YouTube channel, definitely going to be writing about it on the blog. There are a lot of ways we're going to document this, and I'm hoping that you'll follow along. And I really want to hear, like, if you're interested in this and want to know more, are there things that, suggestions you have or whatever. I hope you'll contact me and let me know. If you will call me, call me on the show number, 281-809-WORD. It's 281-809-9673. I'd love to hear your opinions. If you travel, if you have an RV lifestyle, I'd love to hear, how you're doing it, the tricks that you use, how you make an income. And specifically, I know a lot of people, the perception here is that most of the people doing this sort of thing are retirees. But there's a growing number of people. As we look into this, we find out there's a growing number of people who are actually out there making their living while they do this, and they experience the world around them and get out and explore the country while making a living. And that's what we want to do. And I think we can. I think reducing our overhead is going to be a big help. I think, increasing things like book sales will help. So if you'd like to help out, there are a number of ways you can do that, actually. And one of them is just become a reader. Become one of my readers. Go to kevintumlinson.com/books, which there's a link in the show notes. If you go to kevintumlinson.com anyway, you're going to be able to find my books. But go check that out, or search for me on Amazon.com or any book retailer at this point. Apple has started has become suddenly a place where my books are making some headway. So thank you, Apple readers. But go check out the books out. Actually, that would be ideal. Out of all the methods by which I could make a living, the one that I value most is book sales. My book career, my writing career. If you are a reader, if you like science fiction and fantasy especially, but I'm kind of dipping my toes into other wells. Like I did Evergreen was sort of an espionage kind of story, and I've got some short fiction stuff coming up with Nick and on my own. That's a little different. So if you're a reader at all and you are looking for someone new to explore, I encourage you to check out my work. Everyone who picks it up enjoys it, and it's not always people I know. So I'm pretty encouraged by that. So I hope you'll dig it and go check that out. Another way you can support me directly if you want is through Patreon. And if you go to wordslingerpodcast.com, there's a link there for Patreon right on the page, and there's also the Fund Me menu button, which I'm thinking of changing. The site will once again go through a slight revamp as I remove a few things. I'm kind of changing my scope a little because there's some stuff that I've had that's just taken up too much time and not paying off. There's not enough ROI. But as an entrepreneur who has an unconventional income, I'm still going to explore that as a topic on this show. And I still want to help people. I'll still do coaching if you want it. I'm going to offer that. And, I've had some really interesting clients come my way because of that. So I want to continue helping people with that. My 30-day author program is still something that's popular. I was just asked to speak about that. I got going to do a talk about that here in the next couple of weeks. So happy to help out with that. Basically these are the ways you could help support this. And if you're interested in what I'm doing, let me know, because what I want to do is tailor this show and a YouTube channel and the blog and everything else to the things that are most interesting to you and that are going to get you excited. And because here's the other goal. While we're out there doing our thing and making our living from it and exploring and expressing all that, I want to encourage you to do the same thing. I want the goal here for Kara and I is to, for me and Kara, is to explore the world around us and live. I mean, just get out and live so that we have no regrets and spend our time, really enjoying our lives instead of, constantly deferring everything to some unknown point in the future. I don't think that we'll ever retire. I don't think I'll ever retire. I think I'll keep doing what I do until I can no longer function as an author or function as a podcaster or whatever. And then somehow, if my brain's still working, I'm going to do the next thing I can do. So I don't think I'm ever going to stop doing this stuff. I just, I don't want to defer my life until all that stops. So, anyway, that's, it's an exciting opportunity for us. I hope you find it exciting. I'd love to hear your opinions on it. So, hop on the phone, call me at 281-809-WORD, 281-809-9673. You can also contact me through wordslingerpodcast.com where you can leave me an email. You can leave me a voicemail from the tab on the right-hand side of the screen. However you want to do it, however you like, just hop in there. I'd love to hear your opinions about, RV living. I'd love to hear your opinions about, traveling in general. Ways to, unconventional means of making an income are always of interest to me and to the rest of the audience. And, that's it. We appreciate, pray for us, man. We need, all the help from above that we can get. If you happen to be Christian or whatever your belief system is, I appreciate, prayers. And, we're really excited about this. Really excited about it. So, that's it. It was a short episode this time around. It's not that short. It's like half an hour almost. But wanted to, I don't know. I wanted to do something a little different this time. And I wanted to really explore this RV living idea. I can't wait. And I wanted to announce it, really. That's what it was. I wanted to talk about it because it's very exciting to me, and I hope it's exciting to you. So that's it for this week's episode. If you were tuning in hoping for another interview, I understand. Come back again. We will have more. I'm going to constantly be looking for people to interview. I'm probably going to start interviewing people who are in this lifestyle, sort of a nomad lifestyle. So if you know someone, or if you are someone, let me know. Get in touch. Again, call me at 281-809-WORD, 281-809-9673. Go visit me online at wordslingerpodcast.com, where you can leave me a voicemail or otherwise get in touch with me any way you like. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend ahead, a wonderful week ahead. I hope you have a wonderful life ahead. And I will see you out there.
Word Slinger.
Take care.